right. It's been quite a week. I think it's been quite telling in a couple of respects. I think first of all we need to focus on the fact um, that we still that the Nasdaq still broke all-time highs, and it stayed well above this level, which is important for the rally to continue. Um, but we're still way above um, any. I think this was the previous all-time high level. Um, yeah, you can see here that. Yeah, I mean, you can tell that it was the previous all-time high, 26,300, 26,200. Um, so yeah, that's the previous all-time high, and it's important that we, for the bullish pieces to continue, that we stay above this level. So yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of things going on. Um, a lot of things that have been happening. Uh, like geopolitical wise, and has been basically the market price has been influenced by news headlines, and there's been talks about ceasefire. Then it's been talks about the canceling of the ceasefire, and it's been on and off. So it's been pretty volatile. Pretty this week long has been pretty much dependent on news headlines and the war on Iran. But the equities have been more or less rallying without considering the Iran war at all. So that's pretty telling. I think that is people overall people in the stock market and equities, they expect for the war to end, and that's why we've been seeing this rally in stocks, even though we're still far from an end of the war, from a cease of conflict. There's still um, conflicts in the Middle East. The Strait of Hormuz is still um, up for grabs. Still, there's officially a U.S. blockade outside surrounding the strait. So we are far away from peace. You know what I mean? You're far away from ending. It could end soon, right? But still, there's no sign that things are going back to normal. So things have not gone back to normal yet. We've been seeing this. Um, it could potentially go down. Considering are how things are still up for grabs. And we have not really broke out. You know what I mean? We broke all-time highs, but not how you say, not aggressively. Not in a really positive, in a really confirmative, trustworthy way. Not in a full of strength way. It's just been. You could probably, things could probably go down further from here. all things considered. So what I think things, yeah, I mean, this could potentially happen. I mean, we're still not very far away from the previous all-time highs if you analyze the previous all-time highs, which was around this level. And yeah, I think it's important to see what happens in here now that we broke this level, and it's probably going to consolidate further, right? But again, I think that all sorts of technical analysis, all sorts of um, all sorts of graph and all sorts of, I think right now are out of question. I mean, of course they influence price action, but right now what is influencing the price action more than anything, it's news headlines, and more or less all the attention is focused on the Strait of Hormuz, right? So it's important for that to get settled. So when crypto, I think crypto's been quite acting quite strange. I think that we saw here. I thought that it was going to go down, but it didn't, and it was, and then it went up on, Friday. It took it took the. Just gonna delete this one here. So it just stayed, went down, still went up, and right, and it kept going up and up and up. The stock market kept going up, but just Bitcoin more or less like plateaued, and that is Bitcoin's been plateauing lately. It's been not been very correlated with the stock market. Um, I think this is largely because of October 10th, people just losing confidence in Bitcoin. So just expect to Bitcoin to range inside this level and not performing on par with the stock market, you know. Um, so it just went here on Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday it went further up to reach 77. It went down here and then went further up, and then people started selling 78. People sold 78. Um, you could say that um, you could have applied the $1,000 rule here. $1,000 from here, from the last previous to here, to $1,000 exactly here. So considering the previous high, considering the $2,000 rule that I created, which is basically add $2,000 to predict the next top or bottom, just draw a line $2,000 here, so we could probably see at another top here. So you know, knowing Bitcoin and how it moves and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if it just does a little bit of this here, just to take out some 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 shorts, and to take out some stops. So, but I found this part interesting, the sell-off on the weekend. Um, I found this part interesting because, if I remember correctly, on the weekend, people's the Iran war our fears started to come up again, you know. And people thought that it was going people keep going down, but on the open, um, they bought that. They bought on the open. You can see here, up, 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 up. They kept buying, right? Just like they always do on bull markets on close to all-time highs. They keep buying every single dip. And we are on that type of market right now, right? So everyone bought the dip. People that wanted to buy the dip, they did so. People have been on the sidelines, they just did and bought the dip for whatever reason. And then some other headlines came up with ceasefire. It's just been full of headlines at this point. But something that's quite interesting is that, yeah, I mean, we saw at the end of the last week that oil just reached $80, and then it recovered, and it's recovering. It's keep going up, and we're still in the top and all-time highs. We're still very top. We're still very high on the equities, and oil is still. Oh, this looks like it's gonna go up. On this, right. So it's just something that is just quite not logical going on. Like, what if you ask me for my opinion, the market, I would say that it's not behaving pretty logically. I think it's the way that it rallied to this point was pretty much euphoria based, like mania based. Not much, a lot of logic behind it, just a lot of expectations going on. The market still, I believe, it's pretty fragile, as well as the economy, and like economic policy, monetary policy is not also in a good place either. So there's a lot of things that are going wrong. So that's my take on the market right now, in regards to equities, in regards to how fake everything looks. Now, just to finish this, we're gonna talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Looks like it um, bounced. It's just bouncing right now. It's going up. Um, so it kept going up here, and then it started selling for whatever reason. And then sold, and then people started buying here on Asia, and I don't know. We might see a we might see a further continuation up. I don't know. I mean, it's not being really quite correlated, Bitcoin with stocks, I would say. It's been acting quite off, if you ask me. Um, so these two bars are pretty telling. There's a lot of liquidity, people that just got in and bought big. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it reach 80,000 and just takes out some people out here, takes out some shorts. Looks like that's the obvious. That's typical Bitcoin behavior. Always moves towards towards liquidity. Do you think we're gonna revisit these levels? People were calling for 30,000 out here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we just broke all-time highs on equities, and we should be on all-time highs in Bitcoin as well, but we are not, because Bitcoin has just suffered a pretty catastrophic event. So it's just behaving very differently than equities at this point. So yeah, I mean, you just gotta make sure. I don't know. I mean, pre-markets, it's 0.53. It's doing pretty well. So there's a lot of expectation. A lot of people want to buy. A lot of people want to get in. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I think it's like I said. It's pretty volatile. Oil seems like to have rebounded, and the Strait of Hormuz is still a huge question mark. So there's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers right now. So I would, like I said many times, I would advise caution and yeah, I mean, just gonna adopt a wait and see approach. Looks like Bitcoin is finally approaching the 80,000 level that many people have been eyeing. And let's see how it does after that. We're gonna end this live stream and we see you next week.